Hello and welcome to your Deep Core Connection series. In this class, our focus is going to be on our pelvic motion. What I often see is that women have difficulty connecting with this space in their body and particularly dissociating their pelvic motion from other areas in their body. So that's going to be the focus of this class. We're going to start laying on our backs. So we can make your way there now. Bending the knees up and bringing the feet to rest about hip distance apart. You want your torso in line with the pelvis. And you can bring your arms slightly wide with the hands to face upwards or the palms to face upwards and rest against the floor. And if it feels good for you, you can soften and close your gaze and start to breathe in and out through the nose as we simply tune into our body. And when you're there, you might need to just shift around a little bit on your mat till you feel comfortable. And noticing the sensations within. Bring your awareness to any areas that you might be holding any unnecessary tension and inviting them to relax, soften, release. Feeling into the feet and that beautiful grounding sensation with the earth beneath you. And bringing that awareness to the sacrum. In the back of the rib cage. In the back of the head. And when you're ready, we're going to start with our first motion, which is a sacral circling motion. So thinking about the triangular shape that your sacrum is, we're going to bring our pelvis into gentle circulating motions or circling motions where we're bringing the edges of the sacrum in contact with the mat. So this is a very subtle movement, nothing too big, where our focus or intention is really to bring some smoothness into this action. And as you do this, just notice any areas that you're holding tension unnecessarily. Might be in the arms, the abdomen, in your face or jaw. Just inviting them to soften. And focus on that subtle circular motion, really feeling into the edges of the sacrum. And noticing where you might start to bring in a bit of jerky motion, you'll lose that smooth action. Just seeing if you can soften, bring some fluidity into the movement without offering any judgment or criticizing yourself. Simply making that your intention to bring in some smoothness to the motion. Really feeling into the body. Creating your own visual or imagery of what works for you to bring some smoothness to this action. For me, the base of a bowl just circling on a bench top works. But for you, it could be imagining running water or something completely different. Just do whatever works for you. And then when you're ready, reversing those circles in the opposite direction. Again, just remembering to feel into any tension that you might be holding unnecessarily and inviting that to soften. If at any point you lose your rhythm, you can simply stop and reset. Making sure you continue to breathe so you don't grip through the abdomen. And you'll notice that for most of these exercises, I will keep my eyes closed just to bring more focus and attention inwardly. Do whatever feels good for you, but it does decrease the external stimuli so you can bring your focus inwardly if you close your eyes. And then when you're ready, just finishing and resetting into a neutral pelvic position and just shifting on your mat however you might feel you need to. The next motion that we're going to focus on is our sit bones and just drawing small circles with our sit bones. So again, a very subtle motion. And start to draw in one direction circles with the sit bones. Softening through the face and the shoulders. Subtle movements. And then when you're ready, reversing those circles. And just resetting again to your neutral posture. Shifting on your mat, however you feel the need. Now we're going to bring a pelvic rocking motion. Okay, so we're really thinking about here bringing the pubic bone down towards the mat and then bring the pubic bone up towards the sternum. So you might like to think of tracing a line or drawing a line with the pubic bone. Alternatively, you can feel into the coccyx or your tailbone and picture really just pushing that tailbone into the mat and then tucking it underneath. Whatever works for you. And just softening through the rest of your body. It's a gentle scooping sensation with the lower abdomen as you bring your pubic bone up towards the sternum. Continuing to breathe in and out through the nose and timing the motion with your breath however feels good to you. Again, trying to bring some smoothness to this action. And when you're ready, again resetting, we're going to find ourselves a neutral pelvic position, just with the base or the heel of your palm. Bring that to your hip bones, okay? And then the fingertips onto the pubic bone. And you can rock the pelvis forwards and back just as you were until you find a position where the heel of the hand and the fingertips are relatively in line with one another. Now, this is not a dot or just one very specific spot. It's just a range, so somewhere in the middle. When you find that position, just bring your hands away. We're going to do some bridging from this position, maintaining the more neutral pelvis. So we're going to simply press through our feet, lifting through the buttocks, maintaining that neutral pelvic position, and then controlling on the way down. Softening into the floor. Again, just maintaining that neutral pelvic position as we press through the feet. Just going to a point that feels comfortable for you. And then controlling back down, nice and steady. One more with our neutral pelvic position, pressing up from here. And releasing down, control and soften. And really now tuck that tailbone under, bring that pubic bone towards your sternum, so scooping through the lower belly and then pressing up into that posterior pelvic tilt. Controlling on the way down. And from that scooped position, as you come towards your mat, just soften and release into that neutral pelvic position. Again, bring the pubic bone towards the sternum, scooping through the lower abdomen. Posterior pelvic tilt as you lift. And then coming back down with control. Back into your neutral pelvis. And then one more, really scoop the pubic bone, tuck the tailbone under, pressing through the feet, squeezing through the glutes, and then controlling it back down. Now, just tip the pubic bone towards the mat. So you're coming into more that anterior pelvic tilt. And just pressing through the legs here and lifting. And then controlling it back down. Bring it into your neutral pelvic position. Anterior pelvic tilt, lifting up We're simply just feeling the motion and really tuning inwardly, just noticing how it feels for you. So you're really landing here almost onto the tailbone, and then bring the sacrum back to the mat, neutral position, and then tipping the pelvis so the pubic bone goes towards the mat, lifting up through the hips. Controlling that motion down, tailbone landing first, sacrum, and then repositioning. Okay, we're going to make our way now to our hands and knees. So a 4-point kneeling position. Bring the hands under your shoulders and the knees hip distance apart. And it might feel good first just to do some circling motions. One direction and then the other. And then when you're ready, just coming to the middle, moving as you feel need. And then, first of all, just moving through that pelvis. So without moving through the thorax, so not a cat-cow, it's a simple action, well actually not so simple for some, it can be very challenging, and for me it is, just to focus on moving the pelvis. So it's the same as that pelvic rocking that we were doing on our backs, just in a different position. So just letting the tailbone lift towards the roof and then tucking that pubic bone under. Now we're going to do some small circles with the sit bones. Again, a very subtle action here. Just bringing some smoothness into that motion. And again, if you find that you start to feel that jerky motion, that clunky sort of motion, reset if you need, really just inviting some smoothness into your motion there. And then when you're ready, reversing the circles. Now focus on bringing your hip bone more towards the shoulder or your armpit. So just really swinging the hips side to side. Just a couple more rounds. Okay, and just bring it back to a child's pose. Bring the knees as wide as you need to. Reaching the arms out. Forehead goes to the mat. And in this position, just focus really on bringing the back of the glutes onto the heels and tucking that tailbone down. Drawing in a few nice deep breaths here. staying for as long as feels good for you. And that completes this component of our deep core connection. So very subtle movements of the pelvis, but they can be quite challenging. So continue practicing with these motions, really inviting that smoothness into the action. Enjoy.